Bonjour. My name is Trey Harvey and I am from the small town of Moorefield, West Virginia. I am a public health major with a minor in nutrition studies and health promotions. Fortunately, I have had the opportunity to visit several countries in Europe, with France being one of my favorites of them all. Here is a picture of me in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France. The country we know today as France is brimming with cultural development and full of compelling stories. Throughout the centuries, this country has seen many political and cultural changes. French cuisine is a staple in our understanding of foods and essential history that has led to its creation. The people of France were made up into three different estates, also known as groups. The first estate was called the clergy. This group paid 2% of their taxes to the country. The second estate was the wealthy nobles, who didn't have to pay any of the taxes at all. The third estate paid 98% of their taxes to the population. This brought problems to the French, just as the American Revolution sounded the cries of no taxation without representation. The French Revolution began on July 14, 1789, and lasted until 1799. It became known as Bastille Day when revolutionaries stormed a prison. A general named Napoleon overthrew the French government to establish a French consulate. Bastille was used as a state prison that often held political people. As citizens were detained by authority, some were held as an order by the king. By the 18th century, it held little usage at all. Its symbolic remarks showed the harsh rule of the Bourbon monarchy. On July 14th, a mob of people stormed Bastille armed with ammunition, forcing down the guards and escaping with 7 prisoners. This riot signaled the beginning of what is known as the French Revolution. The United States knows this holiday also as a celebration of our 4th of July or Independence Day. These two holidays are often celebrated the same. Here are some photos of what Bastille Prison actually looked like and when the riots occurred. So, in the title I stated that this was a bread revolution. So how does bread play an important role in all of this, you might be asking? Bread, yes, bread, played a crucial role within the French Revolution. It was often known as the nation of panivores, also known as bread eaters, because of them having the best bread in the world. In 1775, people rioted because of them receiving dark bread when it was supposed to be white and wheat. In 1782, scientists established a school of study of the milling and distribution throughout France. Eventually, bakers that were considered masters developed a control over the system to it being made. These journeymen had to be registered in a guild and given a livret, or booklet. Much enforcement was made on these journeymen, as police could raid their shops. Initials had to be carved into every loaf of bread because it became a crime to have an anonymous piece. Punishments for these bakers included crimes of local paper exposure or the closing of their shop. French bread was made up of 3 simple ingredients that included flour, water, and salt. Leavening sometimes took up to 15 hours to ripen and had to be fed and rested 3 to 4 times during kneading. This wore bakers out because they had to knead around 200 pounds of dough by hand in less than 45 minutes. So what's the difference between leavened and unleavened bread? Leavened bread contains baking yeast, baking powder, or baking soda. The ingredients cause the bread to bubble and rise to create light, airy pockets. Unleavened bread is like flatbread, and it is often resembled like a cracker. October 6, 1789, women went to the market and there was no bread. With this meant that their children would starve no more. Angry women with sticks and pitchforks marched to the Palace of Versailles. Along their 12-mile journey to get the queen, they chanted, "Fricassee her liver." This meant that they wanted to chop off her head, her heart, and chop her liver. The citizens did not like the queen because of her reign. She laughed and said, "Let them eat cake." This meant brioche, a bread dough enriched with eggs and butter. After the women arrived, they raided the palace's kitchen and ate all of their food. King Louis XVI and the Queen were taken back to Paris and locked up in Bastille. Here are photos of the Palace of Versailles when I visited. Out of all of the adventures I had during my stay in Europe, which included visiting London, England, Paris, France, and Madrid, Spain, seeing this beauty took the cake as one of my favorite attractions. It was absolutely stunning. With a revolution underway, French cuisine moved not just from food but into the culture. There is no question that the French are the masters of their foods. Although the focus is squarely on cuisine in France, let's talk about how it was made into a culture itself. Between several centuries, many perspectives allowed a clear sense that modern culture evolved and functioned in different places and at different times. People in the 19th century had to deal with a set of costs to modernize, losing benefits of the industry. French culinary holds a great meaning beyond France. It holds the issues that carry opportunity for cultural construction and the possibilities of resistance, survival, and demise. Presented here is a typical meal one could enjoy while visiting France. The meal includes hors d'oeuvres, which are soups, vegetables, or eggs, a salad, a main dish of meats, pastas, or crepes, and bread and cheese are typically served throughout the meal. A few quick facts about dining in France are: dinner is the longest meal of the day. It can sometimes include up to 5 to 7 courses, and French dinners are often served with aperitif, which is an alcoholic beverage. As our future depends on the understanding of our past in the realms of women, empires of men, and children, cuisine alters agriculture into culture to practice everything that is vital. So, what do you consider to be a major part of the French cuisine? I hope you enjoyed my presentation. If you have any other questions, feel free to check out my references.